Boy, TikTok ban. Let's just why not ban TikTok? I don't know why this is still even a topic. I thought we did this already. To be honest with you, I thought we did this in like 2017.
It's going through the courts.
Like any malware, it's hard to get rid of them.
I guess. Is that everybody's opinion on TikTok? I know, like, I got TikTok early on when it first popped out. I downloaded it and I was on it and I was doing stupid like lip sync movie, thing. I did like Jeff Goldblum's thing from Jurassic Park on TikTok. It got a million views or something stupid like that, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. But then I looked at the views and they were all from freaking India or something, so it was like fake. It was all nonsense. So TikTok has been through a roller coaster ride of people loving it, people hating it. Now we find out that it's pure malware. It's just spying on you. And they're actually, in this article that we pulled up, it was actually describing how it was used to spy on several journalists who are covering the ban. So there's legit concerns over this being something that's used as a weapon against the American people. I know that there've been podcasts and experts on Joe Rogan who've talked about how it's like, it's actually a different app in the United States than it is in China. China has a completely different algorithm for TikTok. And here in the States, it's just a freaking wonky cesspool. But in China, it's actually pretty educational and there's actually like a value to it. So
it's because the algorithm is designed to like, sissify men and promote chaos.
Well, the algorithm, it's set up to smarten up their people and dumb ours down.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what's going on.
That's actually confirmed. That's not just us talking out our ass. I've heard several. So I'm surprised it's still a thing in the United States.
It's not going to go anywhere, dude. Even with the ban, they'll just sell controlling shares to an American business, and it won't.
What will I do when I'm bored if there's no TikTok?
Well, I'll tell you, Keanu.
Instagram,
Facebook, and Instagram have already taken over that format. I used to be TikTok all day, and now it's like Instagram and Facebook. There's better content on Facebook.
The shorts and the reels, exactly.
I've
always heard
TikTok. It's like video, ad, live, ad, video, ad, live, ad. It's every 7 swipes you get an actual video.
You know what it does, because I use TikTok early. I use it often. I don't post too much on there, but it does. It's adrenaline and happiness to your people dancing and doing all that stuff. But when you just said that they kind of spy on you, sometimes I swear to God, I will think something. I think I need toothpaste and I have a toothpaste ad, or like I think they are, which in some cases I guess is helpful, but what point does it cross the line? I am not of the thought that it is exactly, but
there's coding in some of these apps, and I'm not just speaking specifically about TikTok. It's also Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that have access to your microphone, and they will listen to what you're saying. I had a conversation with my wife the other day about dog food because we have a new puppy,
right? And
we're trying to discuss what kind of dog food we want to get her. And I get ads for freaking dog food all the time, and I'm like, I've never Googled what kind of dog food to get. I'm like, I just go to Petco and buy whatever looks nice, and like. Why is my phone selling me dog food right now? It's because my wife and I had a conversation while we were watching freaking something on TV, and my phone heard me. That's creepy.
Exactly what it is. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. I don't know if that was meant to be designed to be helpful or creepy.
Well, they say it's like, oh, well, this is designed to help you guys with your search algorithms and help you buy more suitable things online and yada yada yada. But I feel like that's just that's a curtain for what's actually going on.
Are they saying that they're trying to ban TikTok again in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what happens is they have to sell the majority share of the U.S. TikTok to a non-Chinese company.
And they're not going to do that.
But they can also break up the majority share and sell it to like 8 shell companies.
Yeah.
And which is probably and all it needs to be is majority owned in the United States. Doesn't have to be majority owned. Like, that's what they're going to do. They're smart. They're clever people. If they want to keep their app here, they're going to figure out how to do it. And nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Odin, do you have anything to jump on this topic?
I mean, I'm like in that mixed ground when it comes to like the banning of TikTok in general, because I think that it's something that, I'm for in many ways, but I'm also a little bit more, hard line on this one because I think that we should have more restrictions on who can access the internet, at what age can you access the internet, that kind of thing. But at that level, it has to be handled at a more localized level. It shouldn't be handled at a federal level, state level to a certain degree. Maybe like I do like that there are certain states that are going after certain things because I think that's where it ultimately should be. But even more so, it should be at even more local level. Like it should be at the town, city, and ultimately the most important should be the family. Like the family should have that ultimate say. But the family clearly needs a lot of help because there's so many apps and there's so many things and back doors into these things and access to these things. So I think that having it maybe at a slightly higher level would make more sense to give families a bit more help. But it should be, I think, ultimately a family decision versus anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that comes down.
they've eroded the family to the point where it's most families are not like mother and fathers have to work 8-9 hours a day. Kids are being essentially raised by the school and other kids. And then when you finally get time off, you're like, well, play on your phone. Oh, I'm going to put restrictions on it so you can't use it best this time. But there's 15 other apps that aren't even a part of that ecosystem. The problem is the American family has been eroded to the point and where it's very difficult to keep your kids pure. You have to be really diligent. We need to be promoting family so that these bans don't matter, and that the family will be raising their kids and teaching them right from wrong, and instead of worrying about China doing it.
Yeah, there's no bigger babysitter than the phone screen with TikTok and Instagram on it right now. So.
Right. You just give your kid an iPad and it watches 6 TikToks
and I don't know how many times I've been
gender all of a sudden, and that's fine. That's it just depends on how you want to raise your kids. It's like
I was
if I had a screaming child, I would be the first one. Unfortunately, this is why I would never have children.
Right.
I'd be the first one to give them an iPad. I'm like, yeah, you want to start do a TikTok dance because that's perfectly fine. But it's not right for everybody. It feels like you kind of have to either don't let them have any screens at all until you think that they're responsible enough with it, or
you just monitor it.
There's a big movement happening actually right now in the country with this because there was a book that came out last year that dealt with basically the anxiety generation. I think it's called the anxiety generation. The anxious generation, and it deals a lot with basically screen time amongst young kids and how it impacts them socially. And basically there's a direct connection between social media use and increase in suicide, increase in anxiety, increase in all these things. And so a lot of the recommendations are actually being taken on now by a lot of parents, in fact, who are reading the book, who are creating these groups at schools, like where states actually, Louisiana, banned all cell phones for students in high schools. So students in high schools cannot have.
Makes complete sense to me.
And it's like that. That's like, and that's what you have to do it though, because if you do it at the local school level, the parent backlash is actually where the problem is, because it's just like, what do you mean I can't know where my child is 24/7 and contact them at every time and every moment? It's like, look, I understand you wanting to have that. I get that with my own kids, but at the same time, if I knew that there was something that was going to, in very strong likelihood, cause
AirTag
harm to
Slap
them,
an AirTag in their backpack.
Not even, dude. I had a cell phone in school. You know what? It was a flip phone. I could text, but it took me 45 minutes to say hi to somebody. Like those are still available. You can.
Bring back the flip phone.
Listen, you know what I had? I had a payphone at the office that I had to go call my mom and dad on if I wanted to talk to them. Because you know what I didn't want to do when I was in high school and junior high? I didn't want to talk to my mom and dad. I didn't want to have nothing to do with them. It was my time. I was cool, man. And it's just how it was. I don't know how these kids. It's like, why would these kids want a leash on around their neck 24 hours a day? Because that's what a phone is. That's how I kept track of my kids. I got phone, so I know where you are every single second.
The reason I got my kids phones last year was to know where they were going on a school trip, and I wanted to be able to know where they were and contact them. And I put that Google Family thing on there, so they can really only use it when I say they can use it. And now they have a tracking device. I can even listen in on it. It's pretty awesome.
I guess I'm just I guess I'm just from a generation that my parents were like, be home by dinner, and if you need something, call collect. Okay.
Yeah, have you done that? Where you would call collect and you'd be like, hey, Dad, I'm big.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. It was just.
Next, you want to call collect.
Remember that commercial was like, "Oh, Sarah and John had a baby. It's a boy."
It's 100% accurate. 100% accurate.
Exactly.
But
we had to come inside when the street lights turned on. That was the rule. And there were commercials. There were commercials on TV that remind our parents that they had kids. Hey, it's 9 p.m. Do you know what your kids are?
Yeah, I remember those.
That's horrifying.
I remember
that's a real thing. Dude, we're the forgotten generation, man. We grew up with parents like that.
I went home one time, me and my brother, we were out playing all day with our friends. He grew up on the ranch. We were just doing all kinds of stupid shit. And we would go home and it got dark. And I remember one time my brother fell off of a cliff or some stupid shit. And we went home and my mom looked at him. She goes, well, what happened to you? And I fell down. And she had to take him to the hospital and get like 6 stitches on his face. But
that would be a time for a child to have a cell phone. Hey, Mom, I fell off of a cliff.
But you know what?
Please take me to the hospital.
He got that wound in the morning, and we didn't get home till like 6 hours later. He was fine.
Yeah, I broke my arm once playing by trying to swing out of a tree on a giant rope like an idiot. And I had to walk home with like a dislocated arm. Dude, I was like 2 miles away.
Yeah.
I'm just like walking. I'm like, damn, my arm hurts, bro. Man, my cousin's like, yeah, your bone is sticking out of your arm. We had no phones or anything, dude.
And you had another, and
I would never sleep again. That is truly traumatizing.
And Brian, Shane was probably standing on the other side of you going, don't be a pussy. Let's go play.
Yeah. Shane's like, hey, bro, can you test this rope out for us?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a test dummy.
But back to the other subject. I just want to say about phones babysitting kids. I just think it's terrible. It's a terrible habit. People need to raise their children. I spent an hour and a half 2 weeks ago in a restaurant with a 3-year-old, and we had a blast coloring a placemat with a bunch of stuff on it because the parents of this child do not let the phones babysit these kids. And I'm talking about my best buddy over here, Alex, and his 3-year-old kid. And I had a great time, and I was really impressed with how the boys acted that night. So it was just a recent experience.
Crazy kids that you feel like need to have the phone. It's not the kid's fault.
No,
it's not.
Well, it's that. Well, what happens is it's like a negative feedback loop, and I've experienced this firsthand with my kids, which is one of the reasons why we don't do phones. Is that the more you give them that heavy dopamine hit of having a phone, the crazier they act. Especially if you take it away, or if like, hey man, the phone's dead. Like there's been so many times where my phone's been dead. And my kids are like, I want to watch Bluey. I'm like, I can't, dude. Your phone's. They just start freaking out. And it's because like, okay, they had that freaking dopamine hit, and now you've taken that dopamine away from them, and they just lose their shit.
Yeah, you're making heroin addicts, dude.
It's way easier to just cut that whole thing out and not have that huge dopamine hit, and then they're much more level-headed and much more.
Is their friends have phones and tablets and things?
What's that?
Do their friends have phones and tablets and things?
Some yes, some no. We run a pretty tight circle of friends. We're all homeschooled and we're all this.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
yeah.
my 10-year-old almost my 10-year-old does often is like, Dad, I want a phone so I can FaceTime Ollie. So I'm like, okay, Ollie's his cousin. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. I'll give you my phone and you can call Ollie and you can talk to your buddy or you can hop
that
online.
Works that way. You're not reading to them by candlelight or anything.
No.
Not Amish.
No, not at all. Yeah.
In the olden days.
That's a good,
in the time before 4.
Yeah.
What was really telling about that whole thing is like I'd sit there with your youngest and we'd pass the crayon back and forth and we would color one part of the thing and we had a great time. But meanwhile, in the booth right next to us, there's this couple with their kids and they're screaming their bloody head off because their phone is out of batteries or something. It was crazy. It's just like, come on, man.
Well, there's real psychology.
Teach your kids some manners.
There's real psychology behind like, hey, if if TikTok is, I mean, I'm not trying to pick on TikTok. It's pretty much any social media app.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all these guys,
YouTube.
They don't let their kids play on these apps. Like, oh yeah, I designed this app and I know the science behind it. My kids don't have it. Like, you got to ask yourself why, right? There's a reason for that.
I love that they openly admit that. That's weird.
They do all the time. Yeah, they super do. Yep.
Just like you wouldn't let a gambling addict into a casino, you should not give a phone to a child because those apps are designed to make them phone addicts. And so you are then just giving them that poison every single time that you give it to them in that way, if they've ever had time to develop that addiction.
We all know what it's like. I mean, I sat down there on the couch and I'll start doom scrolling on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. And next thing you know, an hour and a half has gone by and it's dark outside and you're like, what in the hell just happened? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah. Watching Hot
get-
Cheetah Girl going, I spin that thing. It's
like, 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You're like, God, I love this woman.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to bed now. So, okay.
I'm going to bed now.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Later,
You
now.
should put the
y'all.
phone down and go to bed too, sir.